Holy cow. That was fast. I did not know that this was the release strategy for it. Welcome to Derry, but we're back. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And it's almost a little too early to tell whether or not I should continue to recap this, but I will for now. We'll see what happens. We're going to do It, Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 2. And I don't know. These are just kind of my thoughts on the episode. A little bit of you know, look-see at what happened. And it does have audio description. I think the audio description is still quite exceptional. International Digital Center. Shout out to Stephen Christopher for some really excellent, truly excellent writing. I like the narrator. I'm new to her voice, and there are two lanes of thought here. One is uh, I don't think her voice is scary at all, and two, I think that's actually what makes her creepy in certain scenes. Is that she feels like the kind of person that I would have had narrate a television show from the 1960s. So it gives it that vibe of, the old Dick Van Dyke Show, Leave It to Beaver, that kind of like, if we ever go back and audio describe those shows, I think she'd be great for those. And that's what makes it so unsettling, is that the stuff she ends up having to say while also being really perfect for the time period is what kind of makes the show unnerving. Plus, with Stephen Christopher's excellent writing and being able to pull out some really odd, really weird shit that's happening in here. The Muschiettis, I hope they have therapy. I hope they get to go to therapy sometimes, because whatever they need to work out, I feel like Stephen King's gonna watch the show and be like, what the fuck is this? I feel like for him sometimes he's probably just like, damn, I didn't think of that. So um so we relive the ending of the last episode, in case that wasn't harrowing enough for you, where the kids are in the theater, and it still doesn't show the little girl being killed, or at least not in the audio description. It just, like, she is. Like, you see the two boys die, and then it cuts, and we see Ronnie's at home with her dad, who has now been fingered as being the killer of these kids, because it turns out Ronnie dipped. Ronnie got out of there. And they found Lily there, just covered in blood. And of course, she's been in a mental institution before, so she doesn't want to tell people that she saw something come out of the screen and it killed everybody, and left her. So she's not sure what happened, which doesn't really. I would have just gone with the, catatonic, just don't talk to people. I know that sends you back to a mental institution, but man, I don't know. She is between a rock and a hard place. I feel bad for her in this episode, but she doesn't need to. She didn't even really. Oh God, I have so many thoughts on her as a character. None of these kids should be going through this. So, so she's the only quote unquote witness, but they think it's the projectionist that did it. So they are, stalking his house, waiting for this black guy who lives with his mom. His wife is dead, Ronnie's mom. So it's just him, his mom, Ronnie's grandmother. And they live together in this house. We also see the juxtaposition of another black family coming to town, which is our soldier, our lead. And we will learn by the end of the episode why he matters. And he has a wife and a son. And so the son's going to be going to school with Ronnie. The son's name was like Mike or Matt or something like that. It was like 4 letters. Walt, Pete, I don't know. I didn't pay enough attention. He's a nerd, and he's deeply into like looking at the stars and stuff like that. And it has not spoken to him yet, so he's fine. He actually goes through the whole first episode without living a nightmare. So that's nice. Good for him. Look at you. Look at you, kid. Enjoy it while it lasts. Really, his biggest problem is going to be like school bullies at this point. So, so those are kind of the main characters, and it hops around with like with what goes through each one of them. So where do I want to start with? I guess Lily, because she's kind of the most interesting. So she was left behind and ended up telling the police officer what happened. And Ronnie will come to her in school and be like, what did you tell them what you saw? What we talked about? And she's like, I don't know what I saw. I mean, she's trying to be very cagey about it because she doesn't want to go back to this mental institution that they keep hinting at. By the way, the opening credits for this are deeply unsettling and amazing. Very unnerving. Very like that song that's playing. Um, oh my God. What movie was it that used Tiptoe Through the Tulips in the movie trailer? It reminded me of that. It was like very unnerving. It was like the right song for the right images. We were just like, I don't understand, but I need to go hug something now. Like, so very excellent opening credits. And Lily is worried about going back, so she just doesn't. Uh, she's, I don't know, cagey on what happened, and Ronnie's upset because they're looking at her dad, and they shouldn't be because her dad wasn't there. She's like, I told them that. I said I didn't see him. So, but this poor little girl, some people like sort of stonewall the sheriff, and they're like, "Now you listen here, we're gonna get ourselves a murderer. You're gonna either do your job, or we're gonna find somebody who will." Because they don't understand like the law and how that works. Like it's really hard. You always find those like good old boys and like, I don't law, what's law? What is the law? We don't have one law around here. So, and it comes at the hands of people who talk like this. So, yeah, so they force the sheriff to go back, and he picks up Lily from the school and takes her back, and she has no legal representation. I don't even think she has a parent nearby. She's just this like tiny little girl in there with the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, no, no, you've been through a lot. People are questioning. There isn't much on the table. You don't say you said anything, but you're the only one who was there. People are going to start saying, not me. I like you. But people, they're going to think you're the one that did it. And she's like, no, no, it wasn't me. Maybe, I know, we're going to have to send you back to Notting Hills or wherever the fuck it is. And we're going to send you there, and they're going to have to give you a look-see and see if she's, of course, doesn't want to go back because she's been there before. And get you a little psychiatric evaluation, get a little cleared up. And then she's like, no, I've never been there. And he's like, okay, well, let me rephrase the question. Can you be absolutely positively certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that you did not see? And that's the damning question. So they go arrest Ronnie's father based on that. So that's, and then Lily later on, after she'll be at home, and Ronnie's gonna run to her, and she storms in the house and yells at Lily. She's like, what did you tell them? They took my daddy away. What did you tell him? He wasn't there, that kind of stuff. And she yells at her because Lily's mom kicks her out of the house, and so she yells at Lily from outside the window. And so later on, Lily is sent to the grocery store, which is such a weird moment for this girl. But yeah, so she has to go pick up groceries, and so that's her nightmare, is the grocery store, and things come in. There's like a really interesting, creepy face that keeps getting brought up, and I'm like, is that Bill Skarsgård? Is it Bill Skarsgård? If it's Bill Skarsgård, please let me know, because there was somebody who just kept like dipping in and just like like a little smile, and then like he did back away. Like they kept getting like audio description notes about that. I was like, is that Bill? So random. And they're like whispers about like Lily, and then like the walls close in around her, and she's at like the pickle jar area, and then she sees like her. First of all, I don't even understand this because pickle. How big is that fucking pickle jar? Like her dad's head is inside of a. I don't know. Did they make giant pickle jars back in the day? Like, are these like pickles of inordinate size? Like, are these like what was happening here with these? So, somehow she sees her dad's face that's like chopped in three pieces that's inside this pickle jar, and I'm like, I have pickle jars that are like the size of my hand. Like I can grasp them with one hand. How do you, like, am I supposed to? And then it's supposed to scare me inside of this little. I would have laughed. I'm sorry, but the it clown would have gotten me, and I'd been like, really? Like that's it? That's what you got? it's, it's in this tiny fucking jar. I thought it was what was way cooler were the cereal boxes that she sees, where one is Pennywise and then the other three are the ones that are missing. Her friends and Maddie are on the cereal boxes. So so yeah, she has a nightmare. She throws one pickle jar on the ground, and her dad's head comes out in some weird goo form, viscous thing, and is trying to give Daddy a kiss. Ah. And then finally somebody comes in the aisle and is like, Lily, what on earth? Why'd you throw that pickle jar on the ground? So, yeah, she only broke one jar instead of like during the nightmare, like all of them get broken. So Lily gets courted off the place she didn't want to go to anyway. Bye. Bye, Felicia. So if you don't think a nightmare is going to happen in a mental hospital, the only way it wouldn't would be if that hospital was just out of his range. If for some reason that hospital was like just outside of Pennyworth's grasp and he couldn't, because that feels like the natural place to go, right? You want to get kids who are living in nightmares? Why don't you just haunt a mental like hospital? Like those kids are already, any kid that's already in there is probably like just easy pickings. But then people would wonder, like, where are all the kids going that keep going to this mental hospital? They keep disappearing. And it's just like, I don't know, Pennywise just walking around a mental hospital just waiting for you to bring kids in, you know? So, um, so that's her story. Ronnie basically, Lily also with her friend Marge and the, Pollies? Is that what they are? The Pollies? The Polly Pockets? Or I don't know, man. I hope those girls get killed off. They're so annoying. I'm like, if these girls don't die throughout the course of the series, something is dramatically wrong. So, and then Marge is like buying into the popular girl thing. The bitchy it girl clique, the plastics that are over there, the obnoxious girls that Marge wants to be a part of, but they don't like her because she's poor. They're like, didn't you wear that sweater yesterday? Oh, like, why do you want to be in with the crowd that doesn't even like you? Like, whatever. So, Veronica, uh, so there's I guess Marge has like a hot second where she talks about, that there's this one kid that she thought was cute but isn't, and then we see this nerdy kid that gets beat up all the time, and uh, Mike or Walt or whatever his name is, ends up befriending a little nerdy kid before the bullies come attack again. His mom, the soldier's wife, is a firecracker. She's gonna be excellent in the show. So she goes and walks around town and has a lovely day. She goes to the butcher shop and orders meat for the night, like people used to do back in the day, because, well, I would say ask your grandparents, but I don't even know if they were. So people used to actually just be able to go get fresh cuts, and a lot of it had to do with like refrigeration and of the time, and making sure that you wanted to get the best meat, and people didn't just load up with a lot of we didn't have a lot of preservatives and a lot of like frozen dinners and stuff like that during this time period. So people just had to actually go get ingredients and make food, and people actually used to know how to make food. So she's getting ingredients. You learned something today. Uh, it's so. She sees the kid get beat up, the little nerdy kid get beaten up by some bullies. She runs over and yells at the bullies, but everybody looks at her like she's weird. And this is one of those like Twilight Zone moments where like the whole town just kind of stops and like turns their head at her like she's violated some sort of ethics code. Like with no, we don't do that. No. And I was kind of like, wait, what? So I don't think this is one of the things that the movies didn't really address, and Welcome to Derry really needs to get into, which is what's up with the fucking adults. Like, first of all, if you've lived in the town and you're an adult, then you were here 27 years ago, right? Like, theoretically, some of these people remember the kids went missing 27 years ago. So, and there are a whole bunch of missing posters in the sheriff's office. So kids just go missing from Derry all the time. Why aren't the adults a little bit more acutely aware of anything? Why are they all in like a cult? I don't think we've ever directly talked about the darkness and how it affects adults, and I would love to see it actually do that here. Shows led by kids, great, cool. We've already killed off half of them though, so okay, let's see how it drives the adults crazy into this weird sort of cultish personality. Because for somebody like this wife, for example, she's really upbeat and she's ready to fight back. So if you saw her at the end of the season and she was like, one of us, one of us, it's like, how did that journey get there? How did she get there? So not a whole lot with that family, although we do learn that the dad, who was the one who got beaten up and for information, what he picked up on was the fact that there was a gun that was used that is incredibly hard to reload, and it's like this like North Korean gun or something like that, some Korean gun, and he noticed that it was reloaded in like a second. So he goes to the guy, which is the racist from the first episode, who they claim did it, and he's like, I don't think you did this, and he explains the gun is, and so he reads him this file, and he's like, there's nothing in here. I don't think that you have the ability. And so he puts the gun down, and the guy tries to grab it and use it, and he can't figure out how to load the gun. And he's like, see, you know. So then he goes to his superior, who finally lets him know the great I don't know, I guess the biggest actor in the show, James Remar, I think, because Pennywise is not omnipresent yet. So Dexter's father takes him and shows him and says, well, the reason why we need you is because of fear. We want to use fear against the enemy. We have found out that fear lives here, and we're trying to weaponize it. And there are these things, and like in the center is something, and we need somebody who has no fear. And you had this very specific brain injury while serving, and it prevents you from being afraid. So we can send you in because there's this thing that it makes people so afraid that they like kill themselves. So if we could use that and weaponize it, then we don't ever have to drop a bomb or anything like that. We can just use fear to kill people. Kind of sounds inherently stupid when you think about but that's because we know everything else. Like, you have to think about like the mentality of these people back in the day, and they don't understand what they're getting into. So but I can just imagine like the president sitting down and having a peace treaty with like Pennywise and being like, okay, we'll feed you one child a week, but we need to know that you're on the American side, and when we send you somewhere, that you'll be able to make them afraid. So, that's that. That's what happens to I think I covered basically everything. Oh, Ronnie's nightmare. I wanted to say that for last because that was the best audio described moment. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I was like, is she in the heart? Is she in a heart right now? So she goes to bed looking at a picture of her mom that she has on her thing, and she goes and she wakes up and she's like trapped under her covers, and then veins start appearing, and then suddenly you realize that she's inside of an organ, right? And there's something like over her, and I was like, is she inside of a heart? And then she kind of like moves her way through, and she gets pushed out. So basically, she gets birthed. She goes through birth, and you find out that it was childbirth that killed her mom. And then so after she goes through this, and there's like the gore and the afterbirth and everything, and she has an umbilical cord that's attached to her. So she's like reborn. Her dead mom is at like is up at the foot of the bed, the head of the bed, and starts talking to her and becomes like her nightmare. And she gets there's like this. She's getting sucked in by the umbilical cord, and there's like a mouth that's in her mom's belly with teeth. And I'm like, this is some crazy shit. Like, I wish Stephen King did a podcast. Like, I wish he could just do like reactions to stuff like this. He'd be like, yeah, I wish I thought of that. That's some cool shit right there. That's you've got a mouth in the belly and it's like dragging her in by the umbilical cord. Man, fuck, I have really fucked people up with my novels. Like my novels have caused a lot of generational trauma, and I did not realize. So, but Ronnie bites off the umbilical cord, and even though she's like backed up against the wall and can't get out, and her mom is like inches from her face, her dad finally comes in the room at the last second, and is like, "What's going on?" Before he's taken off later on. So, yeah, so that was her nightmare. Um, I'm afraid for every kid in this show because I don't think the show will let any of them live. I don't know who's gonna live and who's gonna die, but if this show kills off all of the likable characters and lets the mean girls live, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm gonna be like, what is going on here? So, not that I like to root for child deaths, but man, those girls are nasty. And in a show where it's like, well, some of them are gonna go anyway, might as well be them. So, as opposed to like if you found out that one of the kids that we had seen already died in the next episode, which one would you want it to be? Like, it would either be like the bullies who beat up the kid or the mean girls, right? Like, you wouldn't naturally go to like the nerdy kid or Walt or Ronnie or Lily or whatever. I mean, like, you would want to see those stories play out more. These other characters are sort of like one note. Like, the bullies have no depth to them, they haven't been given any depth. And the Pollies are very sort of like one note mean girls that have no depth to them. So they're very easy to just sort of like write off. And the other characters can be explored more before we lose them. So that way we understand more layers of who they are. Anyway, I'm liking it chapter 3. At chapter 0.5. I don't know. I feel like this is still hovering between like it's hovering in the eights. I think it's hovering around an 8.5 right now for me as a score, but we'll see. Anyway, join me maybe for next week. We'll see how the scores go for this, the views. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.